The Dangerous Kitchen is a small team comprised of just 3 members who, while developing Mambo, worked primarily out of a coffee shop. Their goal was to deliver a multiplayer-focused fighting game that'd be easy enough so anyone could jump in and play. They were able to do just that, utilizing a single-button scheme that allows you to unleash 3 different attacks for some action-packed fun. While the game offers local multiplayer, a solo mode, and even an unlimited arcade-style mode, the mileage will certainly vary, especially with no online option. The first thing that jumps off the page when getting into Mambo is just how simple the control scheme is. Your ball-like character can move around in any direction by using either the analog stick or the D-pad, and by pressing up to jump. You can jump up to 3 times in the air. Movement overall is very loose, and while this doesn't pose much concern in multiplayer, in solo mode I found it to be frustrating. However, I'll touch more on that in a bit. By pressing and holding the A button for an increasing lengths of time, the game allows you to use 3 different attacks. There is a light bump attack, a circular attack with a slightly longer range, and an attack that sends 4 projectiles each in different directions. Although holding down the A button blindly will come at a cost, burning you out and making you immobile for a short period of time. Overall, the controls are easy to grasp, and having played with some inexperienced gamers, they were able to wrap their heads around how the game worked within a match or so. Multiplayer is the core focus and will likely be what brings you back for more. The idea is pretty straightforward. Take out your opponent's stock before you run out of yours. Similar to the Super Smash Bros. Series, taking a stock requires you to knock an opponent off the screen in any direction. Now, it's not a one-to-one comparison because in order to even have a chance to knock an enemy off the screen, you must first clear a path for them to get hurled off of it. Each stage has a barrier of blocks you must break before any true danger is present. By hitting your opponent, it will cause them to pinball off the walls, chipping away at the block's integrity until it's been hit enough to disintegrate. In early portions of each match, you'll need to focus on knocking your enemies into a certain spot to open up a lane, or, like I did a few times, purposely use the stage's elements such as lava to send yourself flying against the blocks to open up a path more quickly. When you've eliminated an opponent, they'll actually have an opportunity to get back into the action. Players with no stock will be put on a track that borders the screen, and if you happen to snatch up an enemy, their stock will transfer to you, throwing you back into the fray. This is a similar mechanic found in classic Bomberman. While the rule set is standard for each match, there is some randomness in the matches based on which stage you're on. Some stages introduce lava pits. One has water levels changing throughout, which alters your movement, and there are even rotating stages that definitely add a different feel and challenge. I found the stages with elements that promote chaos, such as the lava pits, were far more fun. There are a ton of stages, and continuing to play will keep unlocking even more of them, but unless you have 3 or other friends to play with, you'll likely burn out before seeing them all. Even with a wide range of different stages, I couldn't help but feel the action was too spread out, particularly with 3 of the 4 maximum players in the match. It just feels as though it's missing something random outside factors, like items, that could help keep matches moving forward. Eventually, if too much time elapses, all of the blocks will start blowing up to get things moving. But if items or more explosive attacks were present, you might not ever find the levels to be too empty. I was overjoyed when I unlocked a level and saw an exploding enemy from the solo mode. But they were just there for show, and hitting them didn't cause them to aggro and explode, which was a huge letdown. While the core of the game is in multiplayer, it was a pleasant surprise to see a fully fledged out single-player option for those who can't get friends together. There were 2 modes, solo and survival. In solo, you're tasked with completing a tower of different challenges that range from collecting a series of items, defeating all the enemies, escaping a maze by collecting keys and getting to the door, defeating bosses, and more. The varied gameplay in solo is refreshing, and as you progress through the difficulty options, it becomes increasingly demanding, but sadly not always because of the challenge. In the later levels, precision becomes vital, and as I mentioned before, the loose nature of the movement isn't conducive to that. It's easy to become frustrated, and it's only compounded by the heavy time commitment needed to get back to where you were before the game over occurred. Survival mode harkens back to the arcade days, having you clear wave after wave while trying to protect your platform and falling to your death. This is a score-based mode, and even has the option to bring friends along for the ride. The Dangerous Kitchen crew took an interesting approach to the visual presentation. I really dig the retro-styled visuals, and the different colors you could choose for your character really pop. There were some weird decisions, such as loading screen icon, looking like a toilet, and worm-like enemies that explode, but overall I found the visuals appealing. What I found annoying were some of the loud squeals that the enemies in Solo campaign made, which was disappointing considering they did a nice job with the soundtrack. Mambo is a game with some clever ideas, but ultimately held back by its limited features. No online play, bland levels, and not enough of a hook to keep me coming back for more is unfortunately what stands out the most. That's not to say there isn't a place for this game if you have access to a group of friends who can regularly meet up and want a bite-sized party game. It does enough right that it's worth checking out in the right circumstances, just don't expect to play it for hours on end.